exploring lakes, rivers, and reservoirs across the country with an unyielding goal to enlighten viewers from a fisheye perspective. Come along and we'll investigate the habitat. Much more than a fishing show, this is an eye-opening aquatic experience. Welcome to Kim Stricker's Hook and Look. It's uncanny, almost supernatural, how weather fronts influence fish movement, especially during the pre-spawn stage. First, you see them. Now you don't. Unlike a vaudeville magic trick, this phenomenon is no illusion. Regardless, the occurrence is sure to leave you scratching your head. Then, as if with the wave of a magician's wand, abracadabra,
ta-da!
They materialize. Like any subject, when it comes to fishing, study and accrued experience are an essential benefit to becoming at one with your finny foe. Arguably, there's no better way to comprehend bass activity than by exploring the intricacies of the underwater habitat firsthand. It's invaluable. And that, my friends, is the particular premise Hook and Look is based upon. We're greeted by inclement spring weather as Season 11 kicks off in Indian River, Michigan. What has become an annual stop for Hook and Look, the Indian River area offers a variety of lakes and rivers, each presenting the opportunity to catch trophy-sized smallmouth bass. On this blustery trip, Hook and Look host and producer Kim Stricker is forced to find calmer waters and works his way towards the lee side of the lake. With a developing degree of optimism, he comes upon a wide flat, dotted with pencil reeds.
This whole end is reeds like this. I'm gonna drift with the wind down this side, but man, I've got a bunch to fish that way. Let's do this side first. They gotta be bedding in this stuff. Got to be. Trust me, if they got beds on these reeds, they'll let us know. There's one right there. There's one right there. Oh, nice fish. Nice fish. Yep, they're up here spawning. Come on over here. Beauty. There we go. That's a nice Indian River smallmouth to start out with. Look at that stud. Look at the width. Well, what we had to do was pick one of the smaller lakes. It was just ridiculous wind, and I couldn't get a bite out on mullet. Look at the size of these fish up here. I mean, that's the beauty of Indian River, is that there are smaller lakes. When the wind blows, you've got some place to go, and look at the quality fish all these lakes have. This is incredible. Well, fantastic. We'll go back to your bed, baby. Welcome to Hook and Look, and my sincere thanks for your interest in our program and appreciation of our work. And speaking of work, that weightless Caffeine Shad is a staple of mine, and it does just that, work. That's the 4-inch Caffeine Shad. And what I'm using is just a wide gap 3/0 hook, and just putting it in the tip, bringing it down like that, bringing it right up so it's nice and straight. But then I put a little curve to it to give it a little arc. It helps it dart better. And the line is 20-pound Tatsu fluorocarbon. You want to use fluorocarbon because of the fluorocarbon sinks better than monofilament. I can see a little better right now. So can the fish. That is lots of fun. It kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't looking at him when he took off. Well, get over here. Yes. Yes. All just good solid ones, and every now and then you get one of those Indian River pigs. All right, thanks, fish. Get right back there.
We'll return to Indian River, Michigan, right after this. Hook and Look is brought to you by Strike King Lure Company, #1 in fishing lures. Seagar, trust Seagar when everything is on the line. Power Pole, swift, silent, secure. The original Owaki tool, your soft bait's best mate. And by Indian River, Michigan Tourist Bureau. Pure water, pure trails, pure north.
See, where I catch one, I need to concentrate in this area on every little. That could be one right there. In this lovely spring weather, this has been the craziest spring this year in Michigan. I think probably all over the country. We've had a ton of wind, a ton of rain. It's made it kind of hard to film some shows. And I was worried about this one. Ooh, that's a good one too. Look at that. Look at that beauty. There's nothing like smallmouth fishing up north. And it don't get any better than Indian River. Come on up to my net. He's a one-eyed fish too. He's a one-eyed fish. So I'm glad I brought it by his good eye. Huh? Better drop the power pole before I drift away. I can see beds all through here. But hey, very nice. Go on back to your bed. Thank you. It was fun. Well, I'll tell you, that's a day where your power poles come in handy, that's for sure. I'm seeing some empty beds that have been made, but they're not occupied yet. I mean, this is just starting to happen up here. A little twitches. Fall near that nest. Gosh, he slam it. My net on that one. All right. Not extremely big, but still a darn good smallmouth anywhere. Get out there. Yeah. You know it. But it's Very important, obviously, when you're catching them off the beds like this. Let them go back to do what they were doing. And we'll have plenty of smallmouths for years to come. Right now, I'm just kind of fan casting at a distance, guesstimating where they might be bedding. Looks like a dark spot there. Gotta be. There we go. Ooh. Oh, look at the size of these fish. Oh, this is a riot. In addition to sinking faster, here are a couple more fundamental reasons I use Seaguar fluorocarbon line over monofilament in this scenario. First, fluorocarbon line is significantly more abrasion resistant than mono. The other is superior tensile strength. Fluorocarbon is simply stronger, providing me the muscle to rip free of the pencil reeds. That's because Seaguar fluorocarbon is nearly impervious and doesn't absorb as much water as monofilament, maintaining its original quality and tensile strength. Very nice. Very nice. Oh man. Right in my new net. Look at that. Look at those studs. This is awesome. And I got you right in the cheek, nice. That a beautiful fish. Beautiful fish. I love Indian rivers, no question. Yeah, the real shallow is not holding any beds, but you get out here in these deeper reeds and they seem to be a few here and there. But again, they're just starting a bed. And we'll take a closer look at it later. Thanks. All right.
Coming up, Kim reveals a bewildering surprise. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hook and Look. If you've just joined us, the weather here in Indian River, Michigan hasn't been very cooperative. But fortunately, the big smallmouth have. The steady action in the pencil reeds has presented our host with a rigorous workout, which has proven to be a good thing, because for Kim, this was actually the trial endurance assessment following shoulder surgery 3 months prior.
Well, I'm pleased with the results. Dr. Lanieski's partner, Dr. Leif Farjo, performed the operation to repair a rotator cuff tear as well as a torn bicep tendon in my casting arm. And as with my knees, I opted to include stem cell injections on top of the repair to further promote a thorough heal. Another vital element of my timely recovery was the physical therapy. With the assistance of physical therapist Gino Calandrino and Zach Winther, who, by the way, both happen to be avid fishermen. The two helped me regain my strength so I could return to the water as quickly as possible. One particular exercise they candidly refer to as a ta-da is where the patient raises his extended arm directly in front of him, palm up. Over time and repetition, each week they gradually add weight in the hand, 1 pound at a time. Now, if you've ever had shoulder surgery, you know that this maneuver is not an easy task at first. So, with all that said, Gino and Zach, ta-da!
Day 2 exhibits the weather front passing, making way for clearing skies, diminished winds, and cooler temperatures. Somewhat better conditions? Maybe. Yet still not the most inviting setting for a morning swim.
Where are my actors? There's a bed right there. They're like the old beds. They're just not occupied this year yet. This is unreal. We were very fortunate to catch them in that rain yesterday. They were up, but they weren't locked on these beds. You're just up here making them. Beautiful bed. Beautiful bed, but nobody's around. I see a fish. He's sniffing around. That was brief. Yeah, they're really not locked at all.
Now that I really didn't expect. The smallies were there one day and they vanished the next. The experience did confirm that this was only the initial stage of the spawn. There were no eggs present. In fact, none of the beds were thoroughly clean. It was like a wave of fish had just pulled up the prior day to scope things out. Year after year, smallmouth bass will return to the same nests. And as fishermen, we can learn from this underwater observation. It reveals how inconsistent weather patterns will affect the spring migration and the initiation of the spawn. But as soon as sunny, warm, stable weather returns, they'll quickly lock down. It's all about timing, and in lakes that support pencil reeds, it's a good place to look for these spawners.
The state of Michigan record smallmouth bass is on deck. Stay tuned for the full story. This portion of Hook and Look is brought to you by Ranger Boats, still building legends one at a time. Simms Fishing Products, the choice of professional guides and anglers worldwide. Cushit, world's most comfortable rod butt. And by Sportfish Michigan, your source for the top charter captains and guides. Due to a variety of reasons, most notably ideal habitat and a sustainable forage base, some bodies of water are more conducive than others when it comes to generating big fish. The lakes and inland waterway, which flows through the community of Indian River, Michigan, fit squarely in this category and recently gave up a record-breaking smallmouth bass. Those that boat through this scenic waterway can regularly spot a soft-spoken gentleman attentively focused on the end of his line. Through the summer months, Bruce Kramer can be found daily sitting on a bench that parallels the break wall of his riverfront cottage, fishing rod in hand. Accompanied by a container of lively night crawlers, he carefully baits his hook in hopes of catching some fresh fish for the freezer. With that said, on one extraordinary evening in 2016, Bruce was on the verge of hooking up with the fish of his lifetime.
Normally I fish out here about every day and usually catch some good fish, but that day it was September 11th and I wouldn't have been here except my neighbor here, Ron, talked me into staying a little later in September to go fishing with him. And I was fishing right down the river here and thought I had a snag, thought the goby took me under a log or something, and all of a sudden it started moving. Then I fought him he ran all the way up this channel, and it was a good fight.
The interesting part about this story is my wife was at the door wall. We live right next door, and it was about 5 o'clock on Sunday, September 11th, and she says, "Take a look at Bruce out there. His rod is just bent right over." And I said, "Well, he's probably got this log down here." So I came out, got about halfway out, and I says, "Bruce, what do you got?" He says, "Get the net." So I swung right by here and got the net, and by this time that lunker was right here by the edge of the seawall here. So I reached down, and all I could think of, and we weren't thinking state record or anything, it was just a huge fish, and all I could think of is, don't miss this fish. I took one swipe, got it, brought it up on shore, and as Bruce said, that's when he said, "You know, I think," he loves fish, he says, "I think I'll fillet that right now."
Come again?
"I think I'll fillet that right now."
You heard right. Bruce was actually going to fillet that magnificent fish. And truth be told, if it wasn't for his next door neighbor, Ron, that would have been the end of the story right there.
We took it down to Ken's for an official weigh-in, the DNR marine biologist and I, and he came up from Gaylord, and we went into the back door of Ken's and weighed it on their official scale.
To qualify for a state record, your catch must have been taken by legal Michigan sport fishing methods, then weighed on a commercial scale and verified by a Michigan DNR fisheries biologist. Bruce Kramer's monster smallmouth weighed in at a whopping 9.98 pounds and measured a length of 23 inches, surpassing the previous record by 66/100ths of a pound. I'm not sure Bruce actually realizes the magnitude of his accomplishment and how much he's envied by others who wet a line in the Mitten State. But I am certain of one thing: he loves Indian River.
We've been coming here since '63. I love the quietness and the good fishing here, and I love the community. It's a good bunch of people.
I totally agree with Bruce. Honestly, if you're interested in catching an average of quality-sized smallmouths, you need to treat yourself and come fish the lakes around Indian River, Michigan. Not only does this region grow giants, this is without a doubt a fisherman-friendly community offering a variety of accommodations to suit your needs. Conventional hotels with pool and plenty of parking, clean mom and pop owned motels who personally go out of their way to cater to their guests. Comfortable cabins, some even riverside with boat docking and boat rental. You can find a map and an entire accommodations listing on the Indian River Tourist Bureau website. So check it out and check in, and be sure to tell them Hook and Look sent you. We'll see you next week. Where? On Hook and Look.
Hook and Look is a Kim Stricker production.